Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Rancher in Stilettos presents Cocktails and Conversations. So glad to have you here with me today because my guest today, and I know you guys know how much I love my friends, but this one is really special. I got my college suite mate, so you know how long ago that was. Tina Council, welcome to the Rancher and Stilettos presents Cocktails and Conversations. So excited that I finally get you on the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. And cocktails and conversation.
Yes,
There we
I
go.
know we have to toast. We have to toast. Oh my goodness. I am in France, so it's really later, much later here. So I'm able to actually be drinking alcohol.
Yeah, I got strawberry lemonade.
I know. It's so early where you are, but hey,
Yes.
we make it work. We make it work.
hmm
So let's talk about how we met in college at the University of Texas at Austin. And I remember my grandmother bringing me to school, and you, your mom, and Paul, your stepdad, were all together delivering you to school. And I was like, she looks nice. She looks like somebody I could be friends with. And as it turns out, you were just like so welcoming. And I mean, you had been there maybe the semester before me.
hmm
So you kind of knew the ropes a little bit more. But yeah, talk about that first meeting for us.
Well, I remember that it was so interesting because what was your roommate's name?
You know what?
Roxanne?
I don't even remember.
Okay. Well,
I
anyway,
blocked it. I blocked it.
I don't. Oh, here we
Some
go.
stuff, we can use our age now to say, oh my
There we go. I don't
goodness.
remember.
Yeah, yeah. And you know me with people. My tribe is my tribe forever. So
Yes.
clearly she did not make the grade.
Well, I knew her, and I remember opening the door of the bathroom that joined us,
Uh-huh.
and there was this incredible 6 foot tall woman, and I think I could have been on the floor or something, but you seemed taller than ever.
Oh
You
my
were
God.
so beautiful. You were so beautiful. And I had been there the semester before. So
Right.
this was my second semester of my freshman year. And I just loved you. I loved you from the very beginning. You were kind, and your grandmother was kind. Everybody was kind.
Yeah.
And I just remember the most significant thing is I didn't realize it until many years later when my mother told me that, they couldn't do a lot for me in school, but what she did was she prayed. She said she
Mm.
prayed and prayed that I would meet good people.
Right.
And then she just started naming the good people.
Yes.
And at the top of that list
Good.
was
That is,
Marsha and her family.
oh my
And
goodness.
so that was my mother's gift, the
Wait,
constant prayers for good people.
Bettina, we became family over the years. I mean, your
Yes.
mom was that lady who would talk to us like we were grown-ups, like, oh, I know, different relationship,
I know.
a totally different relationship, but I was listening, and I think that she was just helping us be able to navigate this big school and not be afraid, and know that we could rely on each other. God had our back. But I just listened to the messages that she gave us. I still use a lot of those messages to this day. To this day, such a sweetheart.
Thank you. Thank
Look,
you.
look, raising you out in Lubbock, Texas.
I know. She died a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I've just learned to appreciate her even more. We were she was 20 days from being 20 years older than I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was her third pregnancy, the fourth child. that she birthed, but I had a brother that passed away.
Right.
My mother was so wise.
Mm,
And I think I really didn't understand just how wise she was because she was so hard on me, you know.
right.
But
Right.
but
And
she was so wise and she had seen so much.
let's talk about that. You talk about your mom being hard on you. I think that's why my mom and I didn't get along for those teenage years, which is an awkward time anyway, because she was so hard on me as well. Now, having said that, I mean, I'm not complaining about anything that I was able to do or have growing up. Great parents, amazing people. But I know that my mom was always reminding me to be self sufficient. You know, this is someone who was married for 54 years and, believed in the institution, but she truly, truly wanted me to be able to stand on my own 2 feet and take care of myself. That was important. And it was important to your mom as well.
It was very important to my mother. It
Mm-hmm.
was very, very, very important to her to the point that in my 50s, she apologized for being so hard on me because I became so independent.
Right, right,
And
right.
then you miss that part of the interdependency of family. And so she apologized for
Yeah.
being so hard on me, but she wanted me to I had weak spots in life, and they were typically around men, and that she could not tolerate. Period.
I vaguely remember some of those incidents and
Well, there
stories.
were really only about two
Yeah.
where she just couldn't tolerate them. But everything worked out.
So, question for you:
Mm.
over the time since college, how do you feel that we've evolved? And you can start with yourself, and then I'll chime in on myself as well.
How have we evolved in our
In our
friendship or how
friendship,
we've evolved as people?
in our friendship.
Okay, okay, okay. I think more than anything, we give each other room to breathe and become. And I think that's one of the most significant gifts that you can give any type of relationship.
Yeah.
Most people expect you to stay exactly where they met you.
Oh, right,
And we
right.
we have never done that.
No.
We have always been gone in our own separate direction, meet up, go in our own separate direction. But I have never ever felt condemnation or disapproval or anything from you. And I hope you've never ever felt it from me.
Okay, okay. So let's just go back to the fact that when you got ready to get married, okay, oh, the saga, the saga. But when you asked me to be in your wedding, I was like, oh, it's gonna happen. I'm living in Chicago. We're in the whole get the dress together thing. You send me the dress, it's already made. I'm 6 feet tall. Dress is definitely not gonna fit. I told you the story and I'll share. I paid the cost of a wedding dress myself to be a part of that wedding because I was just so honored. And when I got there, I honestly, and I always kind of felt like your big sis because I was just taller. That's the only reason. And not only that, you had like the height challenge stuff about reaching things and, oh my God, hilarious. But so from a protector standpoint, I came to this wedding like zoomed in, making sure that everything that I knew in the standpoint of rules and regs of a wedding were happening. And everybody just kind of let me. And it was so funny because I was like, oh no, no, she should not be, during the rehearsal part. And I just started putting my foot down. And your mama was like, thank you very much. Okay, I appreciate
Well,
it.
the
Yes.
interesting thing about that is that I had some people that were going to play that role, but they called me, oh, is it not the Bridezilla?
What?
Yeah, and it was because Tracy, my husband wanted he wanted to play more of a role. and I was letting him play more of a role.
Ah,
And that was
yeah.
disgusting to some people.
Oh,
But
wow.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't care. I didn't know
Right,
what to
right.
do. If he wanted to play a role, that's why we had all those men. Remember, we had twice as many men
As we
as
needed.
women.
Yep.
It was raining men, baby. We
I
had,
loved
I
it.
said, I had all but one of my brothers, and then he had he called all of the men his best men. So
Yeah.
only best men,
Yeah.
yeah. So he wanted to play with it, and I didn't mind.
I think for me, in terms of how our relationship has evolved, I think as we evolve as people, I've grown up so much, because I was like the original kid, and just still a kid basically. But I kind of know how to navigate being a kid and still being an adult, because you can still have that childlike, quality personality, the way I look about at life. But just some maturing has happened, I think, which definitely needed to happen, and I'm appreciative of it. But the other thing is, I saw you as such a responsible person. And I thought, oh, that's so cool. I want to be, 21 and responsible. And I didn't feel like I was. In fact, I know I wasn't. I didn't really have to be, because I was fortunate that my parents were able to send me to school, and all they wanted you to do is just get out in the world and make your own mark. But yeah, I looked up to you because you were in finance, you were all about managing your money. Which, girl, please, can we talk? I'm just like, it's just a tool. We'll get more. Come on, let's go do this. And you're like, Marsha, no, no, we can't afford that right now, Marsha. Okay. And I was listening and I appreciated it, probably more than it coming from my parents or an adult, because you were like my peer telling me, get your financial nonsense together. That's crazy.
Well, that the interesting thing, that is so ironic because, I've gone through three careers.
Yep.
And at every career, Marcia, to move from one to the next, I have taken at least a 50% cut in compensation and, in compensation,
Right.
money and otherwise. And it has been hard. So all that knowledge has been tested like
Mm-hmm.
crazy, like
Mm-hmm.
crazy, like crazy. But,
Interesting.
as my old boss used to say, I'm the most stubborn person he's ever met. So this last career I'm in my 23rd year of operating my own business, and the ups and downs and the ups and downs and the ups and downs. So all those things I've learned, some of them I applied, some of them I half-heartedly applied, some of them I survived through. And so I am loving this time where I just get to incorporate so much more of the things you
Oh,
knew me,
good.
the self-sufficiency, the courage, all and the knowledge that I displayed in my early 20s because I worked and
Yes.
I supported myself and
Yes.
yeah. But baby, the things I've been taught about
Mm.
money,
Yeah.
and that book that you said you stole from me,
Putting away childish things.
which is really Money, Sex, and Power.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and those are the three.
Yeah.
If you fall apart anywhere in life, it's going to be one of those three,
Yeah. And
and they typically come together.
just for the audience, that book, Putting Away Childish Things, I know it's your book. You gave it to me to read, and I still refuse to give it back to you because I need it in my life. And the reason is the premise of the book is that you mature to the point that those things in life that trigger you, that force you to respond in a way that you would as a child, right? And when you see them coming, they've come toward you multiple times. How many times do we go, okay, this has happened before. This is what I used to do. As my new adult self, I'm going to respond differently. But
Exactly.
so much of it is just just a natural response to revert back to, sucking your thumb and, crying or whatever. And now it's basically the tools. You have the tools. It's just you got to lean into them, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, the interesting thing about his book also is that when in one of the revisions, he actually named it Money, Sex, and Power.
Okay. Okay.
Because again, those are the three
Right.
that will typically they ruin relationships, they implode companies, they implode countries. And if you can learn how to deal with those three, it's great. What I've learned since then is that that money especially is a power in and of itself. Now,
Right.
I'm a banker.
Right.
I'm a banker by a former banker, fund developer now.
Right.
So financier, that's money, 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 money. The interesting thing is that you learn that money wants to rival God
Mm.
as the source of
Yeah.
everything you need. It always wants to rival God.
Right.
It wants you to seek money
Right.
instead of seeking God on what you're going to do, who you're going to marry, who you're going to stay with, where you're
Yeah.
going to go.
Yeah.
It's always doing
That's
that.
so
You,
true.
you got
So
to put
true.
it in check, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. In fact, I think as we have matured, that thing that in our relationship with God that says, I know you got my back. In fact, I'm going to go farther and say, you got to have my back because you know your child, okay? You know your child is thrown off. However, what he also knows about me is if I have money, I will share money. I will
Mhm,
help others. And the more I help, the more it comes my way.
mhm.
So I don't even look at it the same way like when we were in our 20s and it was you need to be making this much by the time you're 25, by the time you're 30, or you're a loser, or you're not winning at life, or whatever. I don't think I ever really bought into that because I didn't see it the same way. Probably to my detriment at cases and in cases, and I will say definitely to my detriment. But I'm not unhappy about my relationship with money. I'm
Mhm.
not unhappy
You just have
about
to keep it. You have to keep it. You just got to
absolutely
always keep it in check because again, it's the dominant power.
right,
It wants to replace God.
right,
And
right.
never forget that.
Yeah, I know, I know.
You know?
Now let's
That there's a reason why in church when you're giving your offering and they will offer, I mean, I forgot what they call it, but you know that all things come of thee, O Lord,
right,
and of
right,
thine own
right.
have we given you. You have to know that that money didn't come from money itself because
Yeah,
money wants you to forget that.
yeah, yeah. That's
And this is the thing that I also know. And that is that it doesn't matter. It wants to be supreme if you have it and if you don't. It's
right.
an equal
Yeah,
opportunity power,
true,
you
true,
know?
true. What about sex? What about the sex
Oh,
as
the
the power?
sex. Yeah. That's the most magnificent thing. When done
Girl,
well, can't nothing rival that. But
girl.
watch relationships when
Mm.
they go under, look for something that went funky with the sex. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I had, such a open mom. Uh,
Uh-huh.
but
An
yeah,
open-minded mom.
open minded, otherwise, open-minded mom. I remember now, just a few years ago when I moved to Houston, and she would ask me, she said, "You dating anybody?" And I wouldn't be dating anybody. And she'd say, "If I was in Houston, I'd have me 10 men by now."
Okay.
She meant
Sir.
that.
Yes, sir. I love it. I love it. And I mean, I look at you, you're beautiful, you've always taken care of yourself. You're absolutely one of the smartest people I have ever known in my life, which is why we're friends, because you make me better. You've always made me a better person, Tina. You've always made me want to grow. And I mean, please, I think you're like the first person I knew that made 1600 on the SATs. Who does that? And I was so proud to say, my friend, she made 1600 on SATs. I mean, how you had fun as a smart person was also cool, which is another reason that I think we meshed. Our story, our music
Oh,
story.
oh,
How many
Marsha.
road trips did
Yeah.
Willie Nelson get us through? And I can't even say that, there's some sisters that would be like, oh, no, 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 darling, you got to take it off that country western stuff. Da, da, da.
Oh,
But
no.
every old school music, all and really some of the more contemporary pop stuff, because we were growing up in Austin during the time you could see basically anybody on
Yes.
Sixth Street,
Yes.
without
Yes.
paying for it. Just buy a
Yes.
drink and you're good.
Hmm.
And Oh my gosh, just turning me on to different people that I absolutely love now to this day.
So let me ask. When you think of love songs
Mhm.
all through your life, what's some of the best love songs you've ever heard? Some of the best.
Well, my personal and anthem song is New Birth Wildflower.
Oh,
The New Birth
yes.
version. Girl, oh my God. Everybody knows that is my signature song. And I will accept the Isley Brothers, but I love the New Birth version. Oh,
All right.
oh my God.
Okay.
I love
I love that. I love that. Now, I dated a guy in the 80s,
it. Uh-huh.
and about maybe 15 years ago, I was talking to him, and he asked me, he said, "Do you still listen to Johnny Mathis?" I said, "Yes, I do." Because
So
I
it's
think one
like
of the
what, 90 now?
yes, but one of the most precious love songs ever is "The 12th of Never." Oh,
Beautiful song.
oh yeah, "The
Beautiful.
12th of Never." The
And I'm
12th of
sorry,
Never.
Nat King Cole, Billie Holiday.
Mhm.
I grew up listening to Dionne Warwick, Nancy Wilson, all these women that my parents were listening to. And somewhere in the middle was the kind of a crossover was the Supremes, because
Oh
then,
yeah.
Diana Ross went on to be Diana Ross. And
Yes.
she became a lot more a part of our contemporary pop music.
Yes.
But
Yes.
just love that we didn't judge each other because of the kind of life we wanted, people that were our friends, whatever. Just no judgment. And we
I
lived,
love the music.
oh girl,
That
and
was our bond.
we lived together even after college for a
Mhm.
while. And I will thank you once again for being that one friend that showed up to my wedding in New York and held it down for me, with Mr. Cromer, and me both tripping and nervous that same day. But you were there, and it meant the world to me. Thank you so,
It
so much.
means the world to me. Your friendship means the world to me. I need to say this about your father,
Oh, see,
who I thought
oh,
was one of the wisest men to ever walk. But Marsha, he gave, about my sense of direction,
right,
being, I'm a little, I'm
right.
not that strong in that area.
Thank you
And
for GPS.
thank God.
I
But
know.
back in the day, your father taught you something and you shared it with me. And it has been a lifeline for me for 45 years.
Right.
And it was, I want to make sure I get it right. You're never lost as long as you're in the world.
That's perfect. That's it.
And I navigate things
I know.
around that.
I know.
And
And I
I've
think
lost a lot.
I shared with you when he first told me that I was gonna leave and take my first trip by myself in the car going from Huntsville to Houston. And that was maybe a 45-minute trip, not super long, but I guess as a parent, you're probably thinking the car's running. He was out there checking the oil and all that stuff. I might have been, I don't know, 15, something like that. And so, no, had to be 16 because I had my license. But he just came out and he was kind of kicking the car tires. He said, just remember, you're never lost as long as you're in the world. And I thought, okay, Dad, all right,
Oh,
whatever. And I got to Houston and got lost. And I started like a little chant: you're never lost as long as you're in the world. You're
mhm.
never lost as long as you're in the world. And I realized all that did, that message was meant to do was calm me down so I could think. I have gotten lost all over the world. I'm here to tell you. And that is what I go to. And even if it means the worst thing is that I get a new ticket and fly back home, it calms me down. So he's still reaching. He's still reaching.
Yes, he
Reaching.
does.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. I wanted to add what, when I moved to Houston, again, I was raised in Lubbock. Lubbock is the most organized city in the world. It used to be. Now,
Right.
outside of the proper city proper, it's starting to get a little fuzzy. But it used to be alphabetical by category. You can never get lost. My mother had a home on Birch. That means she's in the trees. Aspens before, cedars next, dates next. I mean, it's just
Right.
all organized. That's the way I thought life was. I got to
Right.
Austin, and Austin was a little funky, but not that bad. Houston?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Oh,
different. It's
and this was
different.
way before GPS. We had the key maps.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I was trying to study the key maps and trying to get around. And I remember my brother Rodney was visiting me. He was staying with me for a while. And I was so frustrated all the time by the trying to get home. And Rodney told me, he said, just get on the loop and come on home, Tina. And I
Right.
go, but do I go north? Do I go south? Do I go east? He said,
It's
it
a
doesn't matter.
so-so.
Just get on the loop and
Yeah.
come on home. I'm telling you, those two words, those two sayings from my brother Rodney and your father, that really, really helped me.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Question:
Yes.
sisterhood in general. What does sisterhood mean to you, and how does our sisterhood relate to that?
Well, I'm a person who had no sister. So,
Right?
and my
That's
mother had no
true.
sister, and her aunt had no sister.
Oh
So
my
we,
God. Oh my
yeah, yeah,
God. So
yeah.
you came into my family of all these women, and I'm telling you everything that my aunts have told me and my cousins have said. So you kind of got, and I know this for a fact because they just brought you into the family with
Yes,
everybody. Yes.
yes,
And you know
yes.
everybody. It's hilarious.
Yes, I know
Yes.
all of your family. But I had no sister. So, women play for different rules.
Mm,
But I was very comfortable around men because I
hmm.
had all those brothers
Right.
and all those uncles, And so throughout life, I have probably been a lot more comfortable in friendships with
Uh-huh.
men. No, no,
Uh,
good, solid,
right.
clean
Sure.
friendships with
Sure.
men.
Sure.
That I have with women. So the women in my life are truly, truly sisters for me.
Yeah.
And you are right up there. So I've learned that we can put our guard down, and I think a woman has your back even greater than the men do, unless you're my brothers, and
Yeah.
then they
Yeah.
got my back, baby.
Yeah. Absolutely. I adore all of them. They're wonderful people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. When I got ready to get married, well, when we were dating, I had those brothers, and I told him I had to scare him one time. I said, all my brothers can kill. I thought he needed to know,
Right. Right.
and that
Right.
is true.
Well, if they
All
mess
my
with
brothers
you,
can kill,
if they mess with
military and
you, all
otherwise.
bets were off. That's for sure.
Yes, yes. And so one time we were having a fight, many times, and he said, and tell your brothers, tell all your brothers, especially that baby, talking about Adrian,
Yes. Yes. The little one. Oh my
no, who's
goodness.
not little, he's the largest one now. But that was funny. That was funny. And especially that baby.
Okay, this is an interesting question, and
Okay,
you may have to think about it a little because I'm still thinking about it.
okay.
Do you remember a point in our friendship over the years, and it may have been sooner than later, or maybe a year ago, a time something happened with between us that deepened that relationship, that said, that point where oh yeah, I'm probably gonna know that person forever. And I mean, I went to school with a lot of people in college, and I have two, I will say three friends that I stay in touch with after all these years. Um, I think after college and living together, we got to know each other really well and each other's families. But was it the earlier time, or was it just like putting up with me all those years and I just wore you down?
No, okay. You invited me to your home. I would go to Huntsville with you.
That sounds so
And
much
that
like
was
me.
major, major. And you would come to Lubbock, you would travel to
Yeah,
Lubbock with
yeah,
me,
yeah.
and so that I think put a real bond
Right, right.
around my
Exactly.
relationship with you because our families knew each other,
Yeah, yeah.
we lived together when your niece was born, and we lived together during that time, and your family was there all the
Yeah.
time. That was my family,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
true. It's true. And they just saw you as the little Marcia.
That was so mean. I need to say this for the record. Okay. One time I was putting Cara in the bed, and your father said, "Does somebody need to help her? Because
Oh,
she's short." I'm thinking,
girl.
I'm not
I,
short. I'm 5'5.5". I'm not
girl,
short.
girl,
Does
girl.
somebody need to help her?
It is it's a Williams thing. I will say a Williams slash Grace thing, because my dad is super super tall, or was, and
But Nana wasn't, was she?
Nana was little. She was maybe 5, 6, or 7, so she wasn't like. But I honestly, even with Nana, because all of us were so tall, and for the audience, Tina and I in our own zone now, but Nana is my grandma on my dad's
Oh,
side.
sorry.
And so she was just such a badass. You know
Yes.
how you see a woman that's little and you still won't mess
She's
with
not little, Marsha. She's 5'6".
her? I know. But I actually used to feel sorry for her and didn't want her reaching for stuff, because,
That's the way y'all
it's
did
like,
me.
and now if I go to the grocery store, I can't tell you, I call myself the human ladder. At 6 feet tall,
Mhm.
short men, short women, kids, they're
You're
like,
not short,
and
Marsha. You're tall.
I can watch them looking at me and looking at what they need. I'm like, do you need, I need me to reach that for you? It never fails. It never fails. So God has, made me like a human ladder. That's all. People just ask me to reach the stuff that's on the top shelf for them.
I want to talk about what a good cook you are.
Oh yeah.
Marsha.
I know,
Okay, so
girl.
I want to let everybody know what I think you do better than anybody.
Okay.
Chicken flatters.
Oh my God, yes.
Chicken
Girl,
flatters.
do you
Oh,
remember we went out and somebody had made them, a restaurant? We went
yeah,
to a
it was
restaurant.
called Fandangos.
Okay, see, this part is crazy. The fact that you remember Fandangos, that's the restaurant.
That was
So
it.
we loved them so much. And I said, oh, please, I need to figure out how to make these things. And I went home and doctored and played around with it and came up with some amazing flautas. Oh
Amazing.
my God. And I love to cook.
Amazing.
I still love to cook. And
I
when I,
still love your
oh my God.
flatters. Yeah.
Well, when I'm in Houston one day, I'll have to come make some for you.
Yes, I would love that. I would love it. I would love it.
So let's talk about, as friends, we know we will always be friends. We made it to this ripe old age, and we are fun friends. We're still fun friends. We just like to do, amazing things, but we're also people who believe in growing and being lifelong learners. That's like part of why we are Marcia and Tina, right?
Hmm.
Legacy. What at this point, what do we do now? What are we doing? What are we leaving? What do we want to be when we grow up?
Hmm. I'm learning some things.
Mhm.
And I tell you about did I tell you about the book club? I'm doing this little book
No.
club. You own so many book clubs. I didn't even think about you, but there is a book club.
Okay, okay.
And it is we're it's like nine of us. And I'd gone through the Audible version first, got the book. We're going through the Audible version together.
And what's the
We meet
book?
on Tuesday nights. Black AF history. No, Black AF history.
Okay,
Let me get it.
okay,
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, Black AF history, the unwhitewashed history of America.
okay. I'm gonna
And
have to pick it up.
it is magnificent.
Wow.
And the magnificent part is not the book, it's the what's happening in the group,
Yeah.
because I don't have children, but I think, a lot of them have children,
Mhm.
and it is important. I think
Mhm.
we have gone through our 20th session. We
Okay.
will finish right before Juneteenth.
And is this with different books or the same
No,
book
it's
or
just that same
oh,
book.
okay. So it's a
It
deep
is
book. It's
it
deep.
yeah, yes, yes, yes. So we're learning.
Uh-huh.
There was just so much when I heard the Audible version. There's so much I did not know.
Hmm.
And one of my brothers, he's been on every call.
Oh wow.
As a matter of fact, almost all the time he'll pray us out.
Oh,
We
I
will
love
pray in the
that.
spirit and we'll pray out the spirit, because you need it,
Hmm.
because you can get unsettled. And we're just learning so much.
It's interesting you say that because as someone who has been a seeker of information around my culture for my entire life,
Mm,
I find something every day or at least every week about me as a Black person surviving over generations and generations. So whether it's in the healthcare arena, which is where I worked most of my corporate life in marketing, those things that I'm learning about generational, disease and the impact of that trauma from slavery even being a part of the lives that we live today. But hearing stories that are just absolutely poignant and beautiful about people in our culture who did monumental things. And my question is, it's not just our history, so why is it suppressed for everybody? If
yeah.
if it moves the world forward, isn't it the world's history?
Yes, it really is. And the great thing about this is it goes way before 1619,
Yes,
and go way
exactly.
before, so that you'll see the Black awesomeness in the world,
Yes, yes,
specifically, as it is connected to the Americas. And it has been life changing for me.
right.
And people, they take it with them. You learn something, you take it with you. I saw
Mhm.
something the other day about Amelia Boynton. Before this book, I never knew who she was.
Right,
And I sent it out and I said, we studied her,
right, right.
and you just learn about all these awesome, awesome people. And that's when you've got to always be courageous. So I've got my cups here for you.
Uh-huh.
Like, this is my cup from Target years ago.
Uh-huh. Okay, I got it.
And
I
it
get it.
says,
You safe with me.
yeah, you can do brave things,
Mm.
because I have to remind myself that
Mm.
I can do brave things. And then this one that's pouring my drink, it says, live like someone left the gate open,
Okay.
swim as the ocean has no boundaries.
I
And
love this
that,
for
Marcia, is
you.
that's my legacy. You cannot
Oh,
say I was afraid, baby.
no,
I've
no.
made decisions
Oh, no.
nobody else has made,
Oh, my
to
God.
live the life that I believe I should be living.
And I am so proud of you for walking in that. And I know that I'm that girl that scares everybody because they're like, no, no, no. Okay, that's like way too much. But you, of all people, also know the conservative side of me.
Oh, yes.
I
Yes.
think that, I was raised by Cecil
That's
and
your father. Yeah,
okay, you know
baby.
what I'm
I
saying?
love it.
So I mean, it's like I may be the wild child in, a group of other conservative people, but in the world at large, I'm somewhat conservative.
I know you are.
However, as I have traveled the world, I have learned to respect myself so much more as a citizen of the world. Funny quick story. I'm in London and I love museums. I got to go to the museum. I tell my friend, let's just grab a cab. We'll just go to the museum today. And it was raining, so we got an African guy that was our cab driver. And
Okay.
he was so happy to see us. He was like, "Oh, my sisters, wherever." Then we told him we were going to the museum. And I'm telling you, the man didn't want to take us. He asked us, "How can you, as Black women, go to this museum and look at the stuff that these white
Was
people have
stolen.
put on display that they
That
stole?"
they stole.
And I mean, how ignorant is that?
Yes. That is
Like,
interesting. Yeah.
so you go from being a tourist in the world to a citizen of the world because you have to read the room,
Mhm.
and people ask me all the time, well, aren't the French people kind of nasty and they're rude or whatever? So as an American, I have not had that experience, maybe because, I don't have the same expectation of the world.
And it's how you show up, Marcia.
Yes.
It's how you treat human dignity, Marcia.
Girl, I
You
am not
know?
showing up in somebody else's country thinking that they owe me the Disney World, Disneyland experience. Okay. You don't have to be fake and phony with me because I stepped into your store. And here,
Hmm.
well, in America, we tend to think if you're not smiling, it means something. Well, that's not a requirement. So to answer that question, I've never experienced a situation where I felt like
I don't either. I don't
I was
either.
being
I
looked down
know
or any
I
of that.
I know how to treat people well.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know, and the
Exactly.
great thing about most of the people that I work with now, I think they're changing the world.
Nice. Of course.
Uh,
Of
and
course. And they actually want
our
to.
motto. I'm sorry, Marcia.
No, I said, and we should all want to because,
Yes.
and I'll let you finish and then we'll circle back to why we should all want to. But anyway, finish.
Okay, okay. I think that they are changing the world by their purpose, by their attitude, by what they do. I tell people now, as rough as things have been, maybe for me, I am choosing who's going to be on my dance card. That means who am I going to work with? Because I come alongside those groups,
Yeah.
and my job is to look at where you are and help you figure out where you want to go and then help you get there. And there are just some groups I've just refused to work with,
Right. Right. Right.
but the groups I work with,
Hmm.
they are changing the world.
And you know what? But you know that time in your life where you just see, and I'm not saying that we were just like myopic about it, but money is money, right? And then you grow and a little more and you realize not all money is good money,
Mhm.
and then as an entrepreneur, which we both are, business people, you start to set your own boundaries. There
Mhm.
are people who will see me do an event, and a Virgo event, girl, come on.
I
I
know.
mean, for real, for real. I'm gonna cut you some slack and make sure that you get a fair price for all the fabulousness. But don't disrespect me being at an event and step to me thinking you can get the family discount because what? No, because
Yeah.
my name is on it. I'll lose money because I can't afford for you to show up raggedy.
Hmm.
So I've had to learn you can farm that out to someone who's where you used to be.
Mm.
somebody who just needs business and they'll take any kind of business.
Hmm.
And as I do that, I also, especially if it's my girls, I'm going to let them know all money isn't good money. And I'm telling you now, you're not going to make any money off of this deal. If you want to help them, do it as that. And you
Hmm.
can say it's pro bono, but you will spend your money before you make any money off of this project.
Now, I have learned those lessons and have not applied them typically because I
Okay.
but I am in the nonprofit arena.
Right.
Most of
This is
my
yours.
clients are
This is yours.
nonprofits,
Right.
and if I believe through my relationship with my God that is something that I need to do, I'll have to do it whether or not I get paid or not, Marcia.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and but God will always remind me, have you ever I've never lacked for food. I've never lacked for anything that I've needed, but I am a vessel
Right.
for the work
Oh,
that needs to be done.
oh, you're
So
good. You're good.
that's,
You're good. You're good. And I've seen you at work, and I've seen those organizations that you put your heart and soul into because you believe in the mission that they had.
yeah, 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 yeah. Now that ain't always smart. And I do want to share this. It's a verse. Whenever I get ready to do a pity party or something, Marcia,
Okay.
about my life, I'm so used to God being kind and gentle, but the constant is a reminder, and it's Jeremiah 12:5. If you've raced with men on foot and they've worn you out, how will you compete with horses? If you
Right.
stumble in safe country, how
Right.
will you manage in the thickets by the Jordan? Toughen up, Tina. That's and you go, I just need a little pity. I just need a little pity.
Oh
I don't get
Lord.
it.
We don't do that though. We don't
I
do
know. Darn
and
it.
there are times when I have the absolute saddest story that I need to share with a friend because I'm feeling I'm in my feelings and sad about it. And I know that if I call you to talk about it, the first thing you're going to do is acknowledge that it's real and that it's something that I am hurting about.
Yes.
And then that's it. We're out. We're out. What are we going to do? What's the next
What are we
step?
gonna do?
Yeah, yeah. Let's keep it moving
What are
because
we gonna do?
there's a level of trust there that if I haven't seen you in a year, and that has been the case sometimes, if I hadn't seen you in a year and I pick up a phone and call you or you call me, that's my friend on the other line, and that has never changed.
It has never changed, Marcia. It never will change.
I
I
know.
love my Marcia, and I'm so proud of you.
Oh my
I'm
goodness,
so
girl.
proud of the woman you've become. I'm so proud of the innovation that was always there, all that energy, all that creativity, having a place to go. Because I mean, that thing was overwhelming. I'm thinking, where's all that gonna
And do
go?
you remember me dragging you along? You were like, with the modeling agency that we had in
Oh,
Austin, and I had you in the two little shoes because they were so cute and
and what did you
matching
tell me?
outfits.
You tell me,
Beauty and pain, Tina.
beauty is pain, T. Nothing, but my feet hurt, Marcia.
Those were amazing times. And you know what? It was just school. It was our school.
Yeah.
We were applying the things that we had learned in school to real life, and we were out there just having a blast doing it.
Do you remember the earrings that you tried to remember you?
Girl, girl. And you let me down. You let me down a few times. I'm
I
just,
had to let them things close, Marcia. It hurt. I couldn't do
yes.
that.
I'm
It
like,
made my stomach nervous.
what girl doesn't have pierced ears? It wasn't computing for me. But, I knew when to take my hands off of it because you were absolutely serious. You tried. I give you the
I
college.
tried. I
Yeah.
tried twice. I tried back when Hurricane Rita hit. I tried again, and I had to let them close. I just can't put that earring in my
Uh,
ear. It upsets
that
my stomach.
And what's hilarious? I remember going to for the first time I was going to get contacts, and the doctor's assistant brought me in and sat me down, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. She said, okay, so now we have to do like a training, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. Can you touch your eyeball? I was like, I don't know, but I would imagine that's something that is required if I'm going to wear contacts. And so I was okay. I was able to put them in, take them out, whatever. But sometimes you got to go to the beginning, and that was a question. I couldn't even understand how it didn't make sense for you. But if you can't touch your ear,
Mhm.
that was probably
No, it was putting it in the ear.
I know, I
It was
know,
putting it
I
in the
know, I
ear.
know, I know. And even your mama got in on it. She was
And she
like,
couldn't
yeah.
do it either.
Oh my goodness.
It's a thing. I can't cut liver either.
Well, liver is shouldn't even be eaten. You know how I feel about
Oh, okay,
liver. I
okay.
mean,
Well,
liver
I
is
love
uh,
some liver and onions,
no,
baby,
no. And
from
that
Luby's.
I'm proud to say that there's not much that I want try. I've tried liver and I'm good. I don't have to do that no more. And I don't know, it's just, and I've eaten some really ridiculous, like crazy stuff, but liver is just one I can't get with it. I just can't do it.
I know that we're coming on. Do we end it? It has to end in 3 minutes. Is that what you're saying?
No,
That's not the rule. Okay.
that's
All right.
not
All
the
right. Okay.
rule.
Good.
Not with you. There are no rules.
Okay. All right. Because I wanted to make sure that we talk about the things that we know for sure.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, the things that
Let's
we've
go.
learned
Yeah.
in life. At 67 years old, we're both 66. We're
Right.
66.
Right.
We're both 66 years old. And I am, there's some things I know
Right.
now that I want to bounce off. I want to hear what you know for sure. You know now.
Okay. Can you start first?
Okay. This is what I know. It was true, Marcia, when we learned that what goes up comes down, what
Right.
goes around comes around. Remember
Right.
that?
Right.
It's true, Marcia.
Right. It is.
And in every culture, they call it different things. They call it in the Bible, it's reaping and harvest and reaping, and it's always called something. They call it in the natural sciences. They call it the natural the cause and effect.
Yes. Yes.
And they're natural laws, and they definitely happen. And in the communities where I was raised, it's called payback as a mother.
Okay. That part.
And we forget that, especially when you look at abuse of money, sex, and power in the country and in the world, you forget that that is a natural law and it's coming back. So
Coming back.
stand back, baby, and
Okay.
watch it. Okay. All right. I'm
Love
telling
it.
you that
Love
I
it.
know.
Love it. Love it. What do I know? What do I know for sure? I know for sure that my superpower, my own personal superpower through God, is my confidence, right? And there was a time when I was shy about it, when I thought it was maybe too much for
It's
people.
a bit much, Marsha.
I know. I know. And nobody knows better than you, boo.
It's
Nobody.
always been so beautifully
Girl,
displayed. You
just
know, that 6 foot tall woman walking in a door in all that splendor. It's a bit much.
no. But you know what? You can imagine being that same person at 14, because I've been basically the same height since then, and not knowing what to do with it.
Oh,
Okay. And being at my age now, thank you very much for calling that out. I
oh,
appreciate it. No, that's
oh,
good.
oh.
No, it's
Just
good.
edit that baby
No,
out. Just
no,
edit
no,
that
no.
out.
Hey, you know what? This is all about who we are for real, for real. And
Yes.
I am so grateful to have made it to my
Yes.
age and to be healthy, be
Yes.
healthy and happy with myself.
Yes.
But yeah, that confidence was poured into me by ancestors that I didn't know, by ancestors that I got to meet. How dare me acquiesce to some
Mm,
societal rule about
mm.
how women are supposed to act, how Black women are supposed to show up, how, if you're at work, you got to be willing to do 10 things when everybody else is getting paid to do their one thing. And yeah, I got caught into some of that. But part of that lesson over the years is that confidence was placed there to serve, right?
Yes.
The best thing, what I know for sure,
Yes.
is that the best thing you can ever hope to be is a servant.
Amen.
The best thing that you can ever hope to be. I don't care
Amen.
how high you think your life is or how much you've accomplished or whatever. At the end of the day, the world can't use you for nothing but your ability and willingness to serve it.
I know it to be
Yes,
true.
ma'am.
Yes.
Tina Council. I
I have
love you.
enjoyed
Love
you.
you. You know what? I can't wait to see you in person. And you got to come and hang out with me in Honfleur,
I
France,
know.
because
I know.
oh my God, this place has just found a place in my heart, and I'm grateful to be able to spend a little bit of my time throughout the year over here. So
Well, I will see you soon.
I will see you soon, my dear. I
I
look
love you,
forward.
baby.
All right, we got a toast out. Toast to you.
Toast.
And I absolutely adore you and can't wait to see you.
I love you, Marcia.
I love you too.
Bye bye.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching the show. And please don't forget to subscribe and like. And remember, we may not always get the happy ending, but we make our endings happy.